Hello and welcome. My name is Jane Bolsover and I'm the craft consultant of the WI. Today in this short skills video I'm going to show you how to make your own bias binding. You can buy bias binding from the shop already made, but it comes in a very limited range of colours, so it's always nice to make your own. This can be made for either a quilting project, a dressmaking project, or a home furnishing project. So first of all, what we need to do is find the bias grain of our fabric, because that's why it's called bias binding, because it's cut on the bias of the fabric. Now, to start off with, when you buy a fabric, you have this finished edge, which is called your selvage. And when this fabric is made, this is a woven fabric, not a knitted fabric, and on every woven fabric you have a selvage. Now the selvage is actually the straight grain. So when you buy a dressmaking pattern, you'll find that on the pattern pieces it has a line which says place on the straight grain. The straight grain runs parallel to that finished edge, and if we pull it, you can see there isn't really a lot of stretch in there. It's quite tight. If we go 90 degrees the other direction, it's called the cross grain, and you can see there's a bit more stretch. But if I go from corner to corner, you watch now, there is lots of stretch, and that is called the bias. Now we want to cut our binding on the bias, because what that allows us to do is to go around curves and bends really easily, because if you did it on any of the other grains you wouldn't be able to get it, it would pleat as it went round. So to start off with, let's work out how wide we need to have our strip. So on the market today we can buy these tape makers. They come in different sizes. This is an 18mm one. This is a 2.5 centimetre one, and this is a 1.2 centimetre one, and each one makes a different width bias binding. Today I'm going to use the 18mm. So what we need to do is cut our fabric to twice that width. So that means our fabric strip needs to be 36mm wide. To start off with, we're going to fold our fabric along the bias. So that's corner to corner, because that was where we found the bias was. So there's my selvage, and I'm folding that cut edge across to there. I'm going to fold that again over there. So this edge here is my bias, and I'm laying them on top of each other. And then I'm going to fold that in again like that. So we've got a nice piece that sits on our cutting mat. And what I'm going to do is just trim off this bit first. So I've got the straight bit. Put your hand on this rule so that it's not slipping, and the blade runs right along the rule, and you press down and work away from yourself. Remove that section, and that is actually waste. Then we're going to measure our width. This ruler is actually in inches, which often quilting rules do, because the Americans all use inches, but obviously I'm using millimetres. So I'm just going to mark where my millimetres go across this piece. So I want 36mm. I'm going to do the next one. Sorry, I'm probably blocking your view here. 36mm wide, all the way across the strip. I'm now going to place my rule on there and cut through and keep going till I get a whole row. One, keep going all the way along. Right, so now we've got all these strips, but as you can see, they're quite short lengths. And it's a bit of a waste of fabric to make them too long, because you're only going to be using a certain section. So you can cut shorter lengths and join them to make the length that you need to go around your project. And we've got these diagonal lengths at each side, and that's great, because what we need to do is to overlap them. So right sides together, you overlap them like that. So you're going to be stitching, taking a 5 to 6mm seam allowance. So you're going to stitch along there. I've got a straight stitch on my sewing machine. I've got set at a fairly small stitch. I'm going to go a bit smaller than that. I'm going to go 2.4 and quite slow. And I've got a reverse backwards and forwards on here because I'm going to reverse stitch. So overlapping right sides together, so it feels like you're crossing them over. Going to have to get those stringy bits off. Put that under the foot, so 5 millimeters. It's really about the width of your foot on your sewing machine. These two threads, the bobbin thread and the needle thread, put your finger on the back of them so that they don't get taken down into your machine and knot everything up. So I'm going to drop the needle just a little bit further into the end, do a couple of stitches forward, then I'm going to reverse stitch, and then I'm going to go all the way across to the other side of the strip, going quite slowly here, but hopefully you can see that. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to reverse stitch again, just for a few stitches, okay? And remove that from the sewing machine. Now we've joined the pieces together, we're going to press this seam open flat. So I've got my iron here, press it flat. And then we can just trim these two little ears off here so that it's nice and straight. And now we're going to take our folder. Now if we look at the back of the folder, you will see it's got a groove all the way around there and there's a slot in the back. And this is a handle so that you don't burn yourself on the steam. So what we need to do now, because we've got a pointed end on our fabric strip, we're going to thread this through here. And the point comes out there. So, and as you see, as it comes out the other end, it is starting to fold. And now what we do, I'm going to put that in there, spread that out. You hold the handle and you put your iron just in front, and then very slowly and gently pull the folder along the strip, holding the front down on your steam iron. You can see why it's useful to have the handle until you get all the way along, and hopefully, if you've done your seam nice, if I lift that, you can see how the binding's folded, and it's beautifully the same width all the way along because it's come out of the folder. We're almost at our seam. I'm going to pull it along to the seam and show you how the seam threads through too. So almost here comes our seam, and if we've done our seam accurately, it should just pull through the folder exactly the same. And there we go, there's our seam come through the folder. So now you can see how easy it is to create your own bias binding. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. This is part of a series of mini skills videos which we build to create a beautiful cushion at the end. Thank you for watching.